Welcome back, everyone. I am the Depressed Dior, and this is Middara Unintentional Malum Act 1. We are going to be starting the MAST, the Magical Aptitude and Strength test, and it's going to probably be the most difficult part in the game. No questions asked. Alright, I have way too many dice here. I'm just going to get rid of some of these while I'm at it. Okay. We don't need these whites anymore. And everything else here is good. Okay, so key things to note at the start here. We do have special encounter rules and win conditions and stuff like that. Win condition is just get to the blue exit, which is all the way at the top right corner. Lose condition is be defeated, and depending on what we do here, whether we win or lose, it'll take us to different story bits. Sometimes it'll be the same story bit. In general, you want to win these, not only just for the better outcome, or the possible better outcome, but also usually winning means you killed everything, and killing things gets you loot, and you want to get as much loot as possible in this game. Alright, special encounter rules. Movable rock. An adventurer adjacent to the obstructing terrain token on tile UN1 may make an encounter action to make a strength 10 check. If they pass, they may move the obstructing terrain token onto an adjacent unoccupied space. If this is moved onto dangerous terrain, you discard it. The other special rule here is grading. Depending on how fast we complete this, it says use time tokens to keep track of how many rounds have passed. To get the maximum amount of points, you have to complete this within 5 rounds or less. I think my record's like 3 or 4. But that's usually because we really hauled ass and wrecked things as we moved. So you get points based off how quickly you finish. Also down here, every cave sickle you defeat gives you 2 points, and every adventure that is defeated makes you lose 5 points. Over on the adventure sheet, I am going to be keeping track of the mass score down here. I haven't really gone over the adventure sheet. It has things like keeping track of damage, XP, whether they're injured or unselectable, and then there's a bunch of story flags, achievements, and unlocks you can keep track of. For right now, we don't need to worry about any of that. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about some of the tokens. We got loot tokens and totems. So loot tokens, the way they work is if you are on or adjacent to a loot token. By the way, adjacent does count diagonals, so this does count as adjacent. It's just movement is orthogonal. If you are adjacent to a loot token, you can spend a stamina to do a encounter action to loot that token, and then it'll either be, if it's already flipped over or it shows what color it is, you just resolve whatever that is with the hidden text. We do have a red revealer here for revealing that text, and then you resolve whatever it is. Totems, the way they work is if you ever have direct line of sight between your figure and a totem, you have to stop play immediately and resolve that totem. That is the rule. As for the tiles themselves, it mentioned something tile UM1. On the bottoms of corners of these tiles, it does have labels for these. So this is tile UM1, and this is the obstructing tile. Terrain in this game is color-coded. So red represents obstructing. You cannot shoot through it, can't see through it, can't cast through it. It blocks pretty much everything. You also can't move through it. These dash green tiles are hindering terrain. The way hindering terrain works is when you're moving, if you are moving out of that tile, it costs an additional movement. Moving into it doesn't cost extra, but moving out does. You can also jump over it if you want to try to avoid the movement penalty that way. Also, if anyone is attacking through or into a hindering tile, your accuracy for that attack is reduced by 1. So when you roll the attack roll, you'll minus it by 1. This effect does not stack, so if you're shooting through multiple things at once, like this, it only gives you a -1. It doesn't give you a -2. The last terrain we need to talk about is these white dashes. This is dangerous terrain. Dangerous terrain usually represents pits. If you move into or end your turn on a dangerous terrain tile, you are automatically defeated. The only exceptions to this, of course, is if you're hovering or flying. So something to be very careful of. Also, this does apply to enemies, assuming they don't have flight or assuming they're not always flying or hovering. So that is a way to quickly kill a monster, just like they will probably try to kill you. Also, the AI is set up in a way that if they have an ability to push you and they can push you into a pit, they will push you into a pit. So be very careful about that. All right, So as part of the setup, if you look at the map, the thing here, it says the start locations. And we have 4 characters, so we have to start on these 2 tiles on the far left side of this map. So I'm going to put Rook down here. I'll put Nightingale here. I'll put Zeke here. And I'll put Remy here. I think that's going to be the plan. Actually, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's actually switch you. We'll put you up here, actually. Actually, I think that's fine. Yeah, actually, any of these is kind of okay. Yeah, we'll just do that. Okie dokie. All right. Also, for the first round, everyone starts with their base stamina, so that everyone's going to start with 3 stamina. We have these little things to control that. Other than that, everything is set up and ready to go. So we're just going to get started. So we have the initiative track here. It is actually a hand holding cards as far as the tabletop simulator is concerned. So if you turn off hands, this will stop working. And at the start of every new round, you will hit shuffle. And it goes from left to right. So Zeke will be going first. Oh, actually, I need to take a moment to talk about special rules. Give me a moment. All right, sorry about this. I was supposed to do this on the earlier videos. I'll probably include it in the description, but there are rules you can implement that are variants that will change the difficulty of the game. So let's see. Yeah. So one of them is respecing. In the base rules, respecing costs 1 experience. So what happens is you get refunded all your experience -1. The way I play it is respecing is free. The idea is obviously the reason why they put the restriction is so people don't just respec every story round. That being said, I don't plan on abusing it, but I'm not going to worry about spending XP for something that's just more of a quality of life thing. Let's see. I'm also... Okay. So there's a tier, there's a class of skills or disciplines that are known as summons or summoning. They try to make an effort to 1.2 tried to make an effort to supposedly nerf this, though in essence they actually made it much stronger. But one thing they did do as a nerf is to limit its ability to tank. So the way summoning works is you summon an Esper, which is actually like another unit you can control. And it has similar stats to your own. So if you have a lot of HP, it will have kind of matching HP or similar. What they did for 1.2 is any damage that's done to an Esper by an enemy will also do damage to the summoner. That rule is fine. I intend on playing as is for that. One thing I used to praise the game about is the enemies tend to play by very similar rules as yourself, with the exception of things like skill checks. But the base rules for this game for this new rule is the enemy summoners don't actually they don't take damage whenever their summon takes damage. So not necessarily to make the game easier, but to make it more consistent, I am going to be doing the Bound Souls rule, which is when an opposing Esper takes damage, the intelligent combatant will also take the damage. This won't apply too often, but it does make it, unquestionably, it does make the game easier, but like I said, I'm doing it more for keeping the theme as far as if it's happening to me, it's going to happen to them. And then the other rule I'm also going to be doing is remove urgency. So urgency is the anti-stall mechanic. As you can see at the start of every round, you can do things like shuffle the initiative track and stuff. If you didn't have urgency, you could theoretically just kind of just sit there and let the track shuffle over and over again until you get a favorable initiative order. The other thing that also stalling can be very beneficial for is if you have something that does an effect over time. So, for example, if you have, where is it? Oh yeah, it is this one. Nirvana's Mark, which has the status effect Heal 1, which means at the start of every one of your turns, you'll heal 1 damage. If you didn't have urgency, you could theoretically just sit there and let this regen all of your health. The reason why I'm just going to say no to urgency is it unfortunately doesn't really solve. Anyone that's familiar with how urgency works and how the game works, urgency does not solve the problem. All it does is it makes you play in a way that's just kind of goofy, where you're just kind of like kiting enemies as you kind of take advantage of certain things. The other thing is urgency does also harms you in situations where if you're in a big dungeon-like environment and you go one direction and clear out all the enemies, and it happens to be not the way you're supposed to go, urgency is going to gradually just hit you one after the other until you rush all the way back to the other side to hopefully a combat. The way urgency works, by the way, is if you didn't spawn anything, an AI step didn't trigger, or if you didn't do any damage, you would get a stack of urgency. If you ever get 4 stacks of urgency, you are automatically defeated and you lose the encounter. Like I said, I understand why it was attempted. It's essentially, like I said, it's supposed to stop things like stalling and to mitigate things like regeneration effects. But it honestly just doesn't matter. What I will probably do is I will point out when urgency probably will trigger, but I am not going to play with it. Now, there are situations where there's going to be time, where things are time-based. That stuff will still trigger. Also, if there's ever situations where you get an urgency token through other means, I will keep track of those, though in most cases that doesn't really matter. So I think that's all the special rules I'm doing. Like I said, I'm not going to pay any XP for respecking. If I respec, I'm just going to do a respec. That's all I'm going to do. Any opposing espers, any opposing summoners have the same rules as my summons, where if they take damage, they take damage. If they take damage, the summoner will also take damage. And then, like I said, the final rule I'm not going to that I'll be implementing is I am removing urgency. So there you go. Like I said, this does make the game a little bit easier, but honestly, it's just more quality of life in my opinion. If you have issues with that, feel free to play the game as any way you want. This is on Tabletop Simulator after all. Okay, so my apologies for having to make a break there. Anyway, so we got Zeke here. He's going to go first. First round, you don't gain any stamina. Let's go ahead and go over the phases here. So at the start of the turn phase, you've resolved anything that says start at turn, which there aren't any. Status of phase is any abilities that say status will trigger at this point. So for example, poison would trigger at this point if you happen to be poisoned. We are not poisoned though. We go to refresh phase, which is where everything any exhausted cards will get unexhausted. So it'll be like this. Also, you would gain stamina points here, but you don't get stamina points on the first round. And then it goes straight to action phase, which is where you will spend your stamina and keep going until your turn ends. And then if there's anything that triggers at the end of your phase or end of your turn, you would trigger them at the final part. All right, so we got the card here to help us keep track of what we can and can't do. We start with 3 stamina, so we're going to spend 1 stamina to move and go 1. Remember, it's orthogonal movement. Zeke has 6 movement. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're going to... So right now we still don't have line of sight of this blue thing. We're not going to worry about it right now. So that was 6 movement. Whenever you do a move action, you can spend a stamina to do additional movement. Every additional stamina that you spend will give you 2 points of movement. It's important because you can only take 1 full-on move action per turn. That being said, I'm not going to spend any extra stamina. Instead, I'm going to exhaust one of my short swords and move 1 space diagonally, which is going to put me down here. So with that, I do trigger whatever this is. So we go ahead and resolve the blue totem. As you approach the boulder in your path, a scurrying sound echoes from the other side of the chasm. Spawn 2 K-sickles on any normal terrain space adjacent to the blue totem. Your heart sinks as you hear skittering coming from behind you as well. You whirl around to find yourself facing 2 more K-sickles. Spawn 2 K-sickles on any unoccupied normal terrain space on the south side of tile UM11. Alright, so in the previous video I mentioned stuff about variations and alternates. We do have a variation for Cave-sickles. Most of the variations and alternates are actually are treated as hidden cards, which you don't do anything with until they're revealed. but these particular variations are not hidden cards, so they are active at the start of the game. So we have some variations, which are the Idolum Infused Cavesicles. So we're going to go ahead and pull out both of these. And then from the actual intelligence stuff, we're going to go ahead and add in the regular ones. Now, I don't know if these things actually properly stack or not. They do not. Okay. So the way you're supposed to do is you're supposed to take these cards and kind of shuffle them and then resolve them. And then the way it works, so we're spawning two Cavesicles and then another 2. We're spawning 2 next to the blue totem and then 2 down here. So first we need to resolve the first 2 and figure out what we're going to spawn. For the sake of simplicity, so let me take a step back. So for variation and alternate rules, you would take all the variations and alternates of that monster, shuffle them together, and then draw one of them, and then resolve the spawning for that monster until everything's filled. An alternate way to do it is I think it's in the Pit Boss bounty book, you can just roll 2 whites, in which case if you roll 4 through 7, it's a variation. If it's 8 through 11, it's the base version. If it's 12 through 14, it's alternate. I'm just going to do the shuffle rule, but since I can't shuffle these cards together because they don't actually form a deck, we're going to go ahead and do it like this. 1, 2, and 3 on the purple die is regular Cavesicles. If it's the high dice, it's high numbers, it's going to be the variant. So for the first, we're going to go ahead and spawn some Cavesicles. Roll this die. All right, we get the regular one. So we spawn the first 2. And now these do have scripting. The ones I imported do not have scripting, by the way. So we click on these and spawn these guys. We'll take this initiative card and handle that in a second. And we spawn these adjacent to the blue totem. Adjacent does count on top if you want to go on top of them, which I do. I will put 1 on top. All right. In situations where you're spawning enemies, unless it says otherwise, you have to put them on a tile that they can actually survive on. Technically, this dangerous terrain location is adjacent, but it would instantly kill them, so you won't do that. All right. Actually, we'll put the other one here. It has to be as long, you have to put them adjacent, and if there's, for whatever reason, you can't put them on a safe tile, you try to put them as close as possible. All right. Whenever you spawn a new monster, you do have to add their initiative card to the track. Whenever adding them to the track, it is always to the right of the person that spawned them. So it'll be, this makes spawning monsters very dangerous because they act immediately after the character ends their turn. Okay, so that was the first 2 that spawned. The other 2 are going to spawn down at tile UM11 on the south side. So it'll be these tiles down here. All right. So whenever you're spawning something, you have to fill in if it's the same type of monster, you have to fill in that card first. So for this first one we're spawning, we're going to add a third one. And we'll put them down here. All right. And then for the fourth one, since it's going to be a new card, I get to roll this again and see if we get a variation. So again, 1 through 3 will be the regular, otherwise it's the variation. All right, we get the regular. We'll put these over here just in case we need them. And we're just going to lock this in. And then this one will get spawned to the sorry, I think I said the left earlier, to the right of Zeke's initiative card. And then I'm going to have this one spawn on its own over here. Okay. So let's go ahead and go over this card. We got Intelligent, which shows that it's an intelligent combatant. Its type is Sickle. It's a swarm card. So the keyword swarm, usually whenever you kill a monster, you will draw loot for that. In the case of a swarm, you will not draw loot until you kill everything on that card. So if we kill this guy, this number 4 by itself, we will get loot. But for this one here, we wouldn't get loot until we kill all 1, 2, and 3. All right, some other things to note. It does have stats on the bottom. We got 6 health, 8 defense, 6 movement, 0 armor, and has a base combat dice of 2 purples. It also has no casting die and has a conviction of white and purple. It also does use symbols. If it can use a symbol, it will spend those symbols. In this case, it will spend, each shield will count as +1 physical damage. All cave sickles have sickle anatomy, which makes them immune to poison, and their movement is not reduced by terrain or allies. So that hindering terrain I talked about earlier does not penalize their movement. Finally, they all have hive mind. The more cave sickles that are around, the better they fight. So they're for every other cave sickle that is nearby within SOI. SOI, again, is within 4 spaces. It does count diagonals, so it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4. So these guys are currently isolated because you can't do it through obstructing terrain. But these 2 here are within SOI, so those 2 actually are rolling a white and purple. If you get really a big swarm, they'll eventually start getting empowered dice, and they get extra defense. All right, and then the last thing we need to talk about is their AI. Whenever their turn comes up, you will start from the top and go in order. And you will stop at anything that is true. So for example, this cave sickle here that's orange, is there an opponent adjacent? Yes, there is Zeke, in which case you would resolve this. And once you resolve an AI step, that will be the end of their turn. If it says something like continue down, then you will keep on going. If there's ever a situation where none of these are true, then they will just sit there and not do anything, unless it says otherwise. All right. Also on the bottom here, it says loot level mundane, which just shows that we're on the mundane loot tier. The higher the loot tier, the more money you'll get from cards. Also, all the tiers there are 30 cards in the loot deck. All tiers have the same thing, which is 27 of them are varying amounts of gold. There's one that's an item card, one of them is a unique card, and one of them is a monster loot. So you generally want to get the items if you can, but it's a 10% chance, so good luck. All right, before we continue, like I said, I am going to be reading all these cards, so let's read the back. The scattering multitudes. A common problem that many explorers run into while traveling in Alinea is cave sickles. While they are considered one of the least dangerous monsters in Alinea, the fact that they roam in groups makes them troublesome foes that are deadly when underestimated. For reasons unknown, they've found success establishing colonies in almost every cave system and ruin large enough to be worth exploring. As common as these rock-like bugs can be, very little is known about them. They drag away anything they kill, presumably to great middens of former prey. But when followed back to their nests, there are no bones, debris, or other signs that they eat what they kill. Many scholars think they drag their victims deeper into their hives before eating them, or perhaps store them for later consumption. Despite their size, cave sickles are able to squeeze through very tight spaces, and their hives are almost always behind small cracks and crevices that run deep into the ground. This has made efforts to learn more about their social structure, mating habits, and diet much more difficult. Attempts to pry into a hive are met with stiff resistance, with dozens of cave sickles descending on the intruders. There are rumors of other types of cave sickles deeper in the hives, much like ants or bees on Earth. Scholars speculate they may have workers, warriors, and perhaps even queen caste. Naturalists agree that this is likely, but no attempt to confirm these theories has met with success. Sickles would not be so dangerous if it weren't for their venom. An otherwise minor cut can become a deadly wound in moments, as their venom acts distressingly fast. Adventurers heading out beyond the safety of city walls are regularly cautioned to carry antidotes in the case of contact with cave sickle venom. Expeditions within Alinea are actively underway to uncover more about these dangerous bugs and perhaps even find a queen. The quest to develop a more efficient way to deal with these tenacious creatures has kept naturalists busy for decades. And there you go. All right. So, it is still Zeke's turn. We did spawn some figures, which means if we were playing with urgency this round, we would not have to worry about it. All right, so I did my diagonal move, which is good to go. One other thing that I will point out as far as diagonal move is concerned is even though you're moving diagonally, you still have to follow orthogonal routes. So, for example, if there was ever a situation where it was like something like this, you can't move through enemy units, you can't move through obstructing, which means you can't do a diagonal through here. So, the more you know. And make sure I have that back on the right spot. I do. I'm going to go ahead and talk about break attacks here. So if you ever move out of a tile that is adjacent to a enemy unit, they will make a melee attack on you. This melee attack will not have any additional effects besides the symbols, and enemy units can only do a break attack every turn. Now the key word is turn, which means technically after Zeke is done with his turn, any break attacks will refresh, which can make them kind of dangerous if you're just trying to run by something. That being said, you shouldn't be running by anything because every kill counts as far as, in this case, your score, and also to potentially get more loot. Okay, so with all that said and done, it's still Zeke's turn, so let's go ahead and move on to what we need to do next. All right, I'm going to go ahead and use Blade Works. I have 2 one-handed weapons. I'm going to exhaust this to make a melee attack against this cave sickle. This cave sickle is by itself, so it has only 8 defense. So I'm going to be rolling these 2 white dice, and I need to get an 8 or higher. Alright, that is a 10. So I beat it by 2, so I'm going to have 2 damage base. I'm going to use 2 of those shield icons to get 2 more damage, bringing me up to 4. And then the burst icon will get me to 5, for a total of 5 damage to that cave sickle, putting it at 1 HP left. So the way damage work is very similar to how they do it in Arkham Horror and a lot of board games, where you have a health value, but you are picking up damage tokens to keep track of. So that's why the number is going up rather than down. Okay. I have 2 stamina remaining, so I'm going to go ahead and attack with those 2 points of stamina to attack again. Alright, I do hit, but unfortunately it's going to do 0 damage. I'm going to go ahead and re-roll the 3 with the short sword exhaust. Alright, that's a 9, so it's going to do 1 damage base because it's 1 higher than the defense, and then 2 shields will do 2 damage for 3, which will kill this cave sickle. You can also just right-click it to put it back. Alright, so it's a swarm, and the swarm is still going, so it's just, we're not going to have to, we can't do anything else with that. For the last bit, I don't have any stamina left, but I am going to go ahead and exhaust this utility core to move 1 space. 1, 2, these guys move 6. Yeah, I'm just going to move back a step. And then that'll be it for Zeke. Alright, Zeke's turn is over. We go to Cave Sickle 4 through 6, which is going to be the one over here. Is there an opponent adjacent? Yes. Make a melee attack against the opponent with the most damage. So right now, Nightingale and Rook both are at full health. In the case of a tie, it will go in initiative order. So Nightingale is higher on the initiative track than Rook, so Nightingale's going to be targeted. So Nightingale's going to be attacked with a melee attack. This attack has something called a follow-up, which is what FU is. Way follow-up works is if the attack hits you, if this attack hits you, you can do the follow-up after you resolve the attack. Now, if the attack misses, you don't do any of the follow-up. So the way this works is you attack. If it hits, you follow up and do an attack on the same target. And if that hits, you can also do another attack. So this guy can hit you 3 times if he hits you twice in a row. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and exhaust my occult shirt to do a dodge. And if I successfully dodge, I will automatically counter. So dodging in this is I roll this black die, and I want shields. Or at the very least, no skull. Okay, so my defense is 8 right now. Every shield increases it by 1, putting it at 11. And then I get +1 because Occult Shirt gives +1 shield as long as it's not a skull. So I'm at 12 defense. This cave sickle is isolated, so it only rolls 2 purples. So we're going to click this die here. The attack misses because it was 5 versus 12. And since the Occult Shirt, this dodge here lets me automatically counter, so I'm going to go ahead and automatically counter, which is going to be my longsword plus my magic talisman. I do have light finesse here, so it's going to be purple, orange, and the magic talisman is going to make it empowered. So I roll all these dice together. Okay, so that's 9. This thing has 8 defense, so I'm going to be at 1 damage base. The 2 shields will bring it up to 3. The 2 books will be 1 each. So I'm at 1, 2, 3 from the shields, 4, 5. I do 5 damage in total to it, putting it 1 short of kill. If we had 1 more book, we could have gotten kill there, but that's okay. All right, since the attack missed, I don't have any follow-ups, and we completed an AI step, so that is it for cave cycle 4 through 6. Now we go through cave cycle 1 through 3. Cave cycle 1, no opponents adjacent. Is there an opponent within range 4? Range 4 would be 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to here. Diagonals are still okay for this, so it'll be essentially this line here. Obviously this blocks. No one's nearby. So nothing for that. And then is, can you move and attack an opponent within range 4? This thing has 6 movement. Now let's talk about jumping dangerous terrain. So a jump check usually requires something like agility and possibly strength, depending on what your setup is. Monsters do not have, or intelligent combatants do not have skills. Instead, they will roll a black die, and as long as it's not a skull, it's a pass. That being said, they do have restriction, unless it says otherwise, which is they can only jump 2 tiles. So this sickle here can't jump across here, but this you can move here and then jump across here. So 6 movement, so we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4 with the jump. Yes, you can jump in L shapes. That is completely valid. So I'm going to go ahead and roll the black die. As long as it's not a skull, it's a pass. Okay, it's a pass. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the rule here is it says to move to be up to range 4 from the nearest opponent. So up to means you want to be, it's going to force you to be at range 4 if you can. Or at least as far away as possible. And it's also going to be from the nearest opponent, which is Zeke. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that does meet the requirement. I'm going to move down 1 more space. That still meets the requirement. And then it's going to make a range 4 attack. This is range 4. It's going to be shooting through this hindering terrain, which is going to reduce his accuracy by 1. Well, actually, I think I might stay like this. Nope, doesn't matter. Yep, so this this tile here is actually blocking the cave sickle here, unfortunately. All right. So it's just going to be at 2 purples. Zeke is not able to dodge, unfortunately, because I don't have any stamina, so we're just going to take it. All right, 11 minus 1 is 10, so it does hit. I have 8 defense, that's going to be 2 damage base. And then the shields are going to be +1 each, so 4 damage in total. I have 1 armor thanks to the leather jacket, so he's going to take 3 damage. Okay, first blood. All right, next is going to go to the other cave sickle. It's going to go ahead and move to here, and we'll go ahead and make that jump check. All right, passes. And it's going to shoot at Zeke again. This time it's going to be a white and purple because they are within range for Hive Mind. 8 minus 1 thanks to the hindering terrain means it misses just barely. So remember, Zeke has 7 defense but +1 from the utility core, so that is 8. Okay, that is it for the cave sickles. We'll go to Remy. All right, Remy is going to, let's see how far I can move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I can move some, but not enough to really matter. I can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and attack the cave sickle down here, but that kind of is just being in the way at that point. You know what? We'll just move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to go ahead and jump across this tile here, 6, 7. So skill check is 2 purple dice plus the stats that are involved. So it's going to be 2 purples plus her agility. So yeah, the difficulty for jumping over a single tile is difficulty 10. I think it's difficulty 10. Let me check that. Yep, it's 10, and then +2 for every tile jumped after the first. Okay, so also if there is someone adjacent to you, yeah, if 1 or more allies are adjacent to the space that you're jumping out of, a single ally can add their strength. Zeke has 4 strength, Remy has 6 agility, so no matter what I roll, I'm going to pass. That is a 18. So I'm here now, and then I'm going to go ahead and spend 1 stamina to do a shady training, just because I can, and move diagonal down to here. It's a little risky, but I don't want this guy doing poison attacks. Pretty much the way the regular K-Sickles are, you either need to be right next to them at all times or be too far away for them to do a shoot and then poison bite. Anyway, that is it for Remy. She has 1 stamina banked, and then it goes to Nightingale. Alright, Nightingale. It's the start of her turn, so this does refresh. I'm then going to go ahead and attempt a Gore Shot, which is just going to get exhausted. I get to roll a purple and black. It has to be in power because of the magic talisman, and I'm going to be targeting this Cave Sickle. Good luck. Alright, so it's going to be 7 plus the spell, which is 6, so 13, and then every book on the black die only, not this tile, but just the black die, will add +1 force to it. So that is 15, and this guy has a conviction of a white and purple, which it fails. So I do 2 magic damage, and I can do extra if I want to, but 2 is enough to kill this thing. So this dies. This swarm has been defeated, so we go ahead and remove its initiative card, and we get to draw our first loot card. 6 gold. Any gold that we get just gets added to the pile. It is shared amongst the entire party. Okay, so that was just an exhaust, didn't use any stamina there. Then I'm going to go ahead and spend a stamina to move. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with the jump. Should have found it. I did need that other purple die there. Alright. So she has an agility of 5. Zeke has a strength of 4. So all this plus 9, I pass. Alright, so I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. She does have cloth armor, so she has 7 movement. Alright. I'm then going to go ahead and spend 2 stamina to attack with the longsword and magic talisman. I'm going to go ahead and target the purple Cave Sickle. Now, something to note about attacking, just like with movement, it is, even though you can attack diagonally, it does classify as itself as attacking through things, or through orthogonal tiles. A thing to note: you cannot shoot, you can't attack or shoot through a enemy figure. They actually block line of sight, but allies don't. But attacking through an ally does give you a -1 to the attack, and is classified as a different penalty as hindering. So if I were to attack red right now, I would be attacking through Remy, in which case I would have less accuracy. So I'm going to attack purple, and we'll see what happens. All right, 8 defense. Oh boy, that was terrible. All right, I'm going to go ahead and use my... Do I want to use my once per game? Or once encounter? Yeah, I think I'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and pop Ambitious, which is going to give herself 2 stamina, and everyone else will gain 1. And then I'm going to immediately use those 2 stamina to attack again. Good luck. Alright, that is 12. So that's 4 damage. 4 damage base against 8 defense. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I do 11 damage to that purple, killing it. Let's see, why is this thing? There we go. Alright, Cave Sickle dead. Alright, goes to Rook. He has 4 stamina right now, thanks to the Ambitious earlier. I'm going to go ahead and pop Mend and get 2 heal tokens. And I can just hold on to this for now. Anything that's a circle token, such as heal tokens, those do carry over between encounters unless you have a restore. Anything that's a square token, like poison, haste, etc., those wear off at the end of the encounter no matter what. Alright, movement. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to go 6, 7, which is going to cost me another stamina for the movement, and I'm going to attempt to jump. I have 0 agility, but Zeke has +4, will give +4 for strength. Okay, that is a pass. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have 6 movement. I spent 1 for the movement, 6, 7, or that will be 8, and then 10. So I have 1 stamina left. And I'm now adjacent to that Cave Sickle. Okay. That is it for Rook, because I don't have enough to attack with. Alright, that is end of the round, so we're going to go ahead and start a new round. we will go ahead and note that 1 round has passed, and we'll shuffle the initiative track. Okay, Cave Sickle 1 through 3 is going to go first. It's going to go after the opponents are adjacent. It's going to attack the person with the most damage, which is a 3-way tie. It's going to be initiative order, so it's going to go after Rook this time. Rook will go ahead and spend 1 stamina to dodge. Actually, do I want to dodge? Yeah, I want to go ahead and dodge, because I'm not going to be able to counter anyway. Alright, roll for the dodge. Alright, he has 12 defense. There's only 1 Cave Sickle left. It misses, and that is it for Cave Sickle 1 through 3. Alright, goes to Rook's turn. He's going to gain 3 stamina. I'm going to spend 2 stamina. And I'm going to exhaust a Warhammer to empower it. So I'm going to attack with these 2 white dice and this black die. And we'll see if we get anything happening here. 10 is a hit, so 2 damage, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for every 2 shields. So that kills that Cave Sickle, and that is it for Cave Sickles. We'll go ahead. That swarm is defeated. We draw a loot card. We get 5 gold. Okay, we're at 11 gold. I can move right now, but there's not really much I can do with that movement. So I'm just going to go ahead and let my turn end here. Zeke will go next. All this will unexhaust. Zeke will get 3 stamina and spend 1 to move. He's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Moving through an ally moving out of an allied tile does cost an additional movement. I'm going to go ahead and spend a stamina to try to move the boulder here. So I have to make a strength, I think 10. Yep, strength 10 check. I have 4 strength. Good luck. 11 strength, I just barely move it. I can move it 1 space in any direction. I'm going to move it to here. And then if it goes on to dangerous terrain, it gets removed. And that is it for Zeke. Alright, goes to Nightingale. Yeah, nothing's seen there. Alright, Nightingale. She's going to get 3 stamina. We'll spend 1 to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think that's still out of line of sight. It is. We're just gonna let this turn pass. We did get attacked and we did kill something or hit something. So this round we don't need to worry about urgency even if we did have it. All right, goes to Remy next. Remy will get 3 stamina. This will get refreshed. This is there we go. I'm going to spend 1 stamina to move. We can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is an option. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and just rush this. So yeah, I'll spend 1 stamina to move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Technically, I think we have line of sight here, but I'm just going to go 7 to get that taken care of. I am going to spend another stamina to move 2 spaces, but first we'll resolve the totem. As you peer around the corner, you see a handful of cave sickles skittering about. They spring into action when they notice you. The cave sickles are blocking the path that leads deeper into the caves. Spawn 2 cave sickles adjacent to the space this totem occupied. Across the gap, you see another cave sickle emerge near a small box. Spawn 1 more cave sickle adjacent to the blue loot token. Okay, same thing as before. This is a completely new group, so I'm going to go ahead and roll this. It is still going to be regular cave sickles. Now, one thing I did that is definitely risky is spawning monsters as a last action, because there's a chance, not only do the monsters act at the end of the round, there's a chance they can act first the next round. But the more you know. So these guys are going to spawn. I'm going to put 1 here, 1 here, and then 1's going to be adjacent to the blue loot token, which we'll put there. Okay. And it's still Remy's turn. I'm going to spend a stamina because my move action is still not done to move 2 more spaces to get to here. And then I'm going to spend 2 stamina to attack. So 2 white dice. I'm not empowering. And we'll see what happens. I need to hit an 8 or higher. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and exhaust the Hammer Helm to reroll 1 of these dice. I'll reroll this 2. Okay, so that's 12 in total. So I hit by 4, so I do 4 damage. and then every shield is +1, and the burst is another +1. I can also exhaust this to get the books as well, but this is more than enough damage. So that's 5, 6, 7, 8 damage. Kills 1 cave sickle. Okay. That is it for Remy. Goes to cave sickles 1 through 3. We'll start with 2. So 2 is adjacent to an opponent, so it's going to attack. It will be at -1 because of hindering. I will exhaust this occult shirt to dodge, and we'll see what we get. Alright, I do get +1 to this, so this brings me up to 11 defense. Also, this cave sickle is too far away, so it's only going to be rolling 2 purples. Okay, the attack misses. I do get an automatic counter. My attack will be at -1 because of the hindering terrain, unfortunately. But we'll see what happens. So -1 to this. Okay, 10 is a hit. So 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'll exhaust the Warhammer to get +1 for every book. So let's say 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll do 7 damage and kill this guy. Yeah, being able to kill outside your turn is always fun. Okay. As for the cave sickle orange, it's going to move to get into range 4 and then attack. The nearest opponent is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is Remy. So it's going to go 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. This puts us in range of shooting Remy. It's going to make a ranged attack. Remy's just going to tank it. So we'll roll 2 purples at -1. Alright, 8 -1 is 7, just barely a miss. Alright, add another time token. And shuffle the initial track. Alright, Zeke. Also, I should be keeping track of how many cave sickles we killed. I'll just handle that at the end here. Alright, 1 second. Sorry about that. I had to do some troubleshooting with Langrisser, which unfortunately I still can't log into. Alright. Anyway, start of Zeke's turn. We'll get 3 stamina. We'll spend 1 to move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll go 7, 8 to here, which will cost us stamina. We'll spend another stamina to go 9, 10. We have to make a jump check, and we have to hope we pass. We have 4 agility. Good luck. Okay, we do pass just barely. By the way, if you fail a jump, the first tile that you try to jump over is where you stop, which would be death. Anyway, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, and then we'll go 11. So I spent 4 stamina to move 11 steps to get adjacent to this cave sickle. I'm going to exhaust this. Actually, no. Take that back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we'll spend 3 stamina to go 10 spaces. We have 6 movement. The every point of extra stamina is 2 extra. So that's 10 movement. And then instead of spending a stamina to go that extra step, I'll exhaust the utility core to move 1 step to here. And then I'm going to Blade Works and attack this thing. 13, so that's 5 base, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 damage, which will kill it. That is the swarm killed. We draw 1 last loot token. 6 gold. You always hope that you get, like, the MAST is actually, if you had, like, the greatest luck ever, the MAST is actually a source of a lot of potential drops you can get. But that 10% chance, which gradually gets higher with whichever card you draw, but yeah. Anyway, we killed it. There's no monsters left on the board. I'm going to go ahead and exhaust this short sword to move diagonally 1 space. Just because I can, I'm going to exhaust the other one to move on top of the blue loot space. I don't need to be on top of it, but I want to. I'm going to spend 1 stamina to do a encounter action to loot the blue loot token. And take a look at this. You find a pile of treasure. Gain 2 random consumables. In addition, finding this box will look good when getting graded. Gain 2 bonus points. So we'll go ahead and note on the MAST 2 points. And then the way drawing cards is concerned, you may notice that the backs of these cards kind of are spoilers of what's on top of the deck. So usually, if you're playing this physically, you would shuffle the deck and then draw from the bottom. This is all done digitally, so I can just hit the R key a bunch of times and just go from there. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to hit shuffle once and then just take the top 2. So 3, 2, 1. Oh, actually, real quick. It just says, yeah, so if it ever says just a random consumable, you will grab all consumables of your current loot tier and anything below it. Right now we're just in mundane, so it's just going to be the mundane here. All right, so here's the consumables. 3, 2, 1, shuffle. All right, so we get a juice box and this thing. All right, we already know about the juice box, but this is a bottle blessing. Oop, that is weird. All right, so this is a bottle blessing. It's a potion. You can discard it to at any time an ally within sphere of influence may do one of the following. They can heal 3, they can reroll any dice you just rolled, or they can gain 1 stamina point. In most cases, what you use this for is for the reroll, because rerolls are really, really good in this game. But if you're ever in an emergency, you can always pop this to heal somebody if they're about to die. Anytime that you get a gear card, whether it's a consumable or equipment, you get a free re-equip that you don't have to spend any stamina for. So right now I can actually do a re-equip action. So I can go ahead and put this into my pack, this into my pack, and then we'll put this in our consumables. Okay. If there's ever a situation where you loot something, you draw equipment gear cards that you don't have space for. Like if we were to draw 2 more consumables, for example, whatever is overflowing will get put into the party stash. And the party stash you cannot access until you are back in a story round or /town location. So it's a good idea to make sure you kind of split things out a bit, just to make sure everyone has, stuff. Anyway, that is it for Zeke. We'll go to Nightingale next. Nightingale's going to get 3 stamina, putting her at 5. She'll spend 1 to move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then I'll spend 1 more stamina to get to the exit. An adventurer ends their turn on the blue exit. We have now fulfilled the end condition, and then the reward is we restore, which means we heal all damage, and we unflip everything, and any extra stuff is reset as well. So bye-bye heal tokens. One thing you can do if you just want to keep track, you don't want to keep drawing these over and over again, is you can always leave these face down to show that they're not being used, and then once you activate them, you can just flip them. But for right now, I'm just going to put them away. All right. Was that 2 rounds? Did we finish this in 2 rounds? No, I think it was... No, actually, yeah, I think we finished this in 2 rounds. Is that right? Yeah, I think we finished that in 2 rounds. That's crazy. Either way, we definitely make the top score here. So we get 12 points for doing it in 5 or less rounds, and then we killed a total of 7. We killed 7 cave sickles, so that's a total of 26 points, bringing us up to 28. Sorry for the thing glitching here. I don't know why it's doing that, but it bothers me. So 28 points. That's 26 from the encounter itself, and then 2 from the loot that we got. Also, whenever you do a restore, it does reset the loot deck, which is unfortunate. Because now we're back to square one as far as getting fancy things. So for winning, we do continue to Wrong Way, which is page 8, which is just going to have some more story bits for us. All right. But what we'll probably do is save that for another time. Like I said, I'm trying to keep the story bits on their own because we're going to be doing plenty of reading otherwise. Anyway, fortunately, we didn't trigger the variation, which isn't the end of the world. The variation is different, to say the least. It has a status type that's new to the game, at least compared to 1.0 or 1.1. That is. Also, I grabbed the wrong tier here as well, but that's okay. But this one tends to favor attacking multiple opponents and multiple times. Like, I guess the way to describe it is the regular cave sickles, you generally either need to be really far away, out of its range, or next to it. In the case of These guys, though, it's actually different because it doesn't, instead of attacking the same opponent a bunch of times, it actually attacks everyone's adjacent. Also, anytime you kill these things, they kind of explode and try to sedate you. The thing that makes them really dangerous, though, is their movement. Their move and do a ranged attack actually shoots twice, which can be kind of dangerous. Anyway, with all that said and done, I'm going to go ahead and call it here. I am the Depressed Eeyore. This was Middara, Unintentional Malum, Act 1, and I'll see you guys next time.